Imagine you hire a security guard to watch your house while you go out of town. You give him one job: make sure nobody touches my stuff. You leave. You come back 6 months later. The house is perfectly secure. Nobody broke in. But when you walk inside, the security guard is sitting on your couch, wearing your favorite jacket, eating your groceries, and he looks at you and says, "Hey, welcome back. You weren't using this stuff, so I charged you a lack of use fee." You'd fire him on the spot. You might even call the cops. But when your bank does the exact same thing to your money, they don't call it theft. They print it on page 14 of a PDF you never read, and they call it an account inactivity fee. Welcome to the FinanceOffer podcast, where we break down how money decisions really work, so you can spot the fine print, think clearly, and make smarter financial moves. Today, we are talking about the bizarre, highly profitable, and entirely absurd economics of the dormant account. We're talking about what happens when you do exactly what you are supposed to do with your savings, which is absolutely nothing, and how the financial system decides to punish you for it. Before we get into the math, let's talk about what this actually feels like, because almost everyone listening to this has experienced it, even if you didn't notice it right away. You have an account you forgot about. We all do. Maybe it's the checking account from your college town that you kept open just in case you ever needed to buy a terrible slice of pizza at 2 a.m. again. Maybe it's a secondary savings account you opened 3 years ago because they offered you a $200 sign-up bonus. You got the bonus, you moved most of the money out, but you left $80 in there because closing a bank account feels like trying to cancel a gym membership in a foreign language. You have to call a 1-800 number. You have to navigate a phone tree. You might even have to walk into a physical branch and talk to a guy named Chad who wears a slightly too large polo shirt and desperately wants to talk to you about auto loans. So you don't close it. You just leave the $80. You think to yourself, it's fine, it's a bank, it's a vault, it's safe. And for the first few months, it is. But then, somewhere deep in the bank's server farm, a little digital timer goes off. Usually, it's right around the 6-month or 12-month mark. The system scans your account and notices that you haven't made a deposit, you haven't made a withdrawal, you haven't swiped a debit card. You are, in the eyes of the bank, commercially deceased. So, they change your status. You go from active to dormant. And the moment that label changes, the bleeding starts. At the end of the month, a line item appears on your statement. Inactivity fee, minus $12. The next month, inactivity fee, minus $12. The bank has automated a script to slowly assassinate your purchasing power. It is death by 1,000 paper cuts, except the paper is your own money. You left the money alone to keep it safe. You're doing everything right, and somehow, the math still looks offended. But why? Why do they do this? If you call the bank and finally get Chad on the phone, he will give you the corporate answer. He will tell you, in a very polite, rehearsed voice, that maintaining an account costs the bank money. They have to pay for server space, they have to generate statements, they have to comply with federal regulations, and tracking dormant accounts requires administrative overhead. Let me be very clear, that is nonsense. Yes, data storage costs money, but we are talking about fractions of a cent. A row in a digital database does not cost $12 a month to maintain. If it did, Google would be bankrupt just from storing your spam folder. The real reason they charge you is entirely different. To understand it, you have to understand the fundamental lie of modern banking. The lie is that banks are vaults. They are not. Banks are data and transaction engines. A bank does not want your money just to look at it. They want your money so they can lend it out, sure. But more importantly, they want your activity. When you swipe a debit card, they make interchange fees from the merchant. When you log into your app, they have a chance to cross-sell you a credit card, or a mortgage, or a wealth management service you don't need. When your account is active, you are a living, breathing node in their profit network. When you go dormant, you stop generating transaction revenue. You become a dead node. So, the bank looks at your account and says, well, if they aren't going to generate revenue for us by doing things, we will just extract the revenue directly from their balance. It's not an administrative fee, it's an apathy tax. They are monetizing your forgetfulness. And it is incredibly lucrative. Banks make billions of dollars a year in what they call non-interest income. This includes overdraft fees, wire fees, and yes, inactivity fees. Wall Street loves non-interest income because it's predictable. Interest rates go up and down. The housing market booms and busts. But human forgetfulness? That is forever. That is a reliable, steady cash flow. Your forgotten $80 from college is quietly propping up a stock dividend for a hedge fund manager in Connecticut. And here is where the situation escalates from annoying to mathematically offensive. These fees are usually flat rates, $5, $12, sometimes $15 a month. Because it's a flat fee, it is wildly regressive. If you have $50,000 in a savings account and you don't touch it for a year, the bank doesn't charge you a dime. In fact, if you have 50 grand, they waive all your fees. They give you a premium customer service line, and Chad sends you a holiday card. But if you have $200 in that account, they hit you with the fee. A $12 fee on a $200 balance is a 6% negative return in 1 month. Over a year, they will drain 72% of your money. It's like getting squeezed by two people who both insist they're not touching you. On one side, inflation is silently eating the purchasing power of your money. On the other side, the bank is actively eating the principal. Saving helps, but at some point, when you are battling inflation and administrative fees on a small balance, it starts to feel like using a coffee mug to stop a flood. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but eventually it hits zero. What then? Do they overdraw the account and send me to collections for not using it? Usually no. Banks generally stop charging the fee once the balance hits exactly zero. They drain the tub, and then they quietly close the account. You never even know it happened. But if there is still money left after a few years, if you had a larger balance that they haven't completely digested yet, we hit the final, most absurd stage of the dormant account lifecycle. It's a legal process called escheatment. Escheatment is a very fancy, very old legal term that basically means handing it over to the state. Every state in the US has unclaimed property laws. The government says to the banks, hey, if someone abandons an account for 3 to 5 years, you can't just keep their money forever. You have to turn it over to the state treasury, and we will hold it in a public registry until the citizen comes looking for it. In theory, this is a great consumer protection law. It stops banks from permanently stealing your money. But look at the timeline. The state says, give us the money after 3 years. The bank says, okay, but we are going to start charging them $15 a month starting at month 6. So by the time year 3 rolls around and the bank is legally obligated to hand your money over to the state for safekeeping, there's almost nothing left to hand over. The bank has spent 30 months perfectly legally siphoning off the top. They use the inactivity fee as a race against the clock. They are trying to eat your sandwich before the government forces them to put it in the fridge. It is a brilliant, ruthless piece of corporate plumbing. So, how do we reframe this? How do we take this frustrating reality and use it to change how we handle our own money? First, we need to stop looking at bank accounts as permanent storage boxes. A bank account is not a vault. It is a subscription service disguised as a vault. If you sign up for a streaming service and you don't watch any movies for 6 months, you don't expect them to refund your money. You know you are paying for the existence of the account. You need to view your secondary bank accounts with the exact same suspicion. If you are not actively managing the relationship, you are probably paying for it, either in direct fees or in terrible interest rates. You need to ruthlessly consolidate your financial footprint. Stop keeping ghost accounts. We all like the idea of having little buckets of money stashed everywhere. A fund for a new car, a fund for a vacation, a rainy day fund at a credit union 3 towns over. It feels responsible. But complexity is the enemy of retention. The more accounts you have, the more surface area you offer the financial system to charge you fees. If an account does not serve a daily active purpose, or if it isn't a high-yield savings account actively generating real interest, close it. Take the 20 minutes, call the 1-800 number, talk to Chad, decline the auto loan, and close the account. Second, if you absolutely must keep an account open, but you don't use it regularly, you have to create synthetic activity. Remember, the bank's algorithm isn't looking for you to physically walk into a branch. It's just looking for a heartbeat. It's looking for a pulse in the data. Set up an automated transfer. Once every 3 months, have $1 transfer from your main checking account into that dormant savings account. And 3 months later, have it transfer back. That automated $1 move resets the clock. It tells the algorithm, I am alive, do not eat my money. It is a ridiculous game to have to play. You are basically setting up a digital sprinkler system just to prove to the bank that you still own the lawn. But it works. Ultimately, this comes down to how you view your capital. Your money is a tool. It is supposed to work for you. But when you leave it sitting in the dark, forgotten, in an institution that views you only as a line item, your money isn't working for you anymore. It's working for them. Your money shouldn't have an expiration date just because it's taking a nap. Know where your cash is, know what it's doing, and never let a bank charge you rent on your own property. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to continue learning how the financial system really works, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave a comment below with a financial topic you want us to cover next. Thanks for listening to Finance Offer, and we'll see you in the next episode.